No, it's not as cheap as it was when you...
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 12th Lebanon Board of Works meeting. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we'll move on to the roll call members. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Gentry,
Present.
Jane Taylor,
Present.
Bill Stoner,
Present?
Dick Robertson,
Present.
Alan Milburn.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. I believe we have two sets of minutes
We
to
do.
approve.
2 minutes?
Right,
So-
July the 8th and July 22nd.
Yeah, so this time we'll take a motion to approve the minutes on our July 8th meeting.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes for July 8th meeting.
We motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, and now minutes for our July 22nd meeting. Entertain a motion.
I'd move we approve the minutes for the July 22nd meeting.
We motion approved and a second. All in fa-
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, those minutes are approved now as well. Okay, that brings us to now department head reports. First up, Police Department, Chief Morgan.
Good evening. Since our last meeting, the Lebanon Police Department has responded to 1,047 calls for service. A total of 26 people were arrested for the following crimes. 9 were wanted on a warrant, 3 operating a vehicle while intoxicated, 3 for domestic battery, 2 for battery, 2 for intimidation, 2 for disorderly conduct, 2 for theft, 2 for possession of meth, 1 for trespassing. In that same time, 5 handgun carry licenses were sent on to the state for final approval. On July 30th, the police department had defensive tactics training where we concentrated on ground fighting techniques and use of force policies. Over the last couple of weeks, LPD participated in a few community relations events in the city. The backpack attack at Memorial Park on the 3rd of August. On the 8th, we had an officer attend the Boone County Senior Services Coffee Connection, which is a question and answer session where they got to ask the officer questions and he answered them the best he could. On the 9th of August, we had officers at the YMCA for the Back to School Bash, where they interacted with the kids. Then last week, LPD provided ALICE training to the Boone REMC employees. Then with school starting back today, we've added additional officers in the mornings and in the afternoons when the kids are going to school and when they're leaving school to patrol the areas around the schools. We'll be doing that for the next few weeks. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief for the board? Any questions for the public? Okay, thank you, sir. I'm sorry, Al, did you want to point of personal privilege? I'm sorry.
Point of personal privilege. There's a gentleman I would like to introduce. He's new to our community, but he has expressed an interest in being involved in the community, and that's a good thing. But he also wanted to meet some of the city officials and get a head start. And I said, I think I can help you out with that. We have a Board of Works meeting on Monday night, and if you want to come down, we'll try and get you introduced to the mayor and the Board of Works members, a couple of city council members, as well as all the department heads that are really responsible for doing a great job and taking care of our city. So it's my pleasure to introduce the Reverend Peter Kurtz, who is the new pastor at Centenary United Methodist Church. He is married, has a lovely wife, Allison, and a young man, Theo. So, Peter, welcome to Lebanon, and thank you for coming up tonight. And be sure some of the people you've already met, but before you get away, we'll have an opportunity to get you introduced to the rest, okay? Okay.
Well, welcome, Peter. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Alan. Next up, Fire Department, Chief Batts.
Good evening, everyone.
Since the last Board of Works meeting, Lebanon Fire has made 161 emergency calls for service. We have logged 362 training hours, performed 45 commercial inspections, installed 3 car seats, and participated in 4 public education events. On August 31st on July 31st and August 1st, firefighters Gabe Westerfeld, Tyler Aguirre, Alex Knipp, and Tori Bossum completed their child passenger seat, safety seat technician refresher course. The week of August 5th, firefighter Tyler Aguirre completed fire officer strategy and tactics. FOSS class, or a FOSS certification, is a base certification for firefighters who desire to become a ride-out officer, a lieutenant, a captain. Can't say enough about Tyler Aguirre and his progression at Lebanon Fire. He's been on over 2 years, and he's definitely exceeding expectation. So we're very happy with that. During the month of August, all department members will be taking 2 mandatory classes. The first class is Leadership and Ethics. The second class is Sexual Harassment Awareness. This is a part of our continuing education initiative that firefighters will participate in every year, and so far it's going very well. Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday of this week, we will be doing the final burns for the Pike Township Fire Academy. The burns will take place at a large farmhouse at the Boone County Airport. And Don Geisler and the Geisler family, they have donated this house to us to use, and we would like to thank them for the great training opportunity that they have given us. So we'll be out there for the next 3 days, so I'd like to encourage members of the Board of Works and Council, if you have some spare time, maybe during lunch, stop out and visit with the training officers during the burns. I'd like to take a minute and brag on Deputy Chief Mike Baird for just a moment. He's just doing a great job progressing our inspection division. Starting 5 years ago, we were visiting businesses every 2 years. We've worked to a year and a half, and in 2020, we believe we will get it to yearly. And he's just doing a great job with this initiative. He has excellent rapport with the community and the business leaders, and he's able to go out and get things changed in a positive way, making it safer for our community, our residents to go in places of business. So he's just moving that division forward. Can't be any happier with his progress with that. So last but not least, I want to talk just briefly about the Lebanon Community School Corporation. And they have adopted the 2018 Special Session House Enrolled Act 1230. This has to do with school safety. I'm going to give you the Indiana code. It's Indiana Code 22-11-17-2. And basically what that says is schools are able to hold students during an unplanned fire drill for up to 5 minutes, or excuse me, up to 3 minutes. So anytime you change a policy like that, a procedure within an organization, it just raises a lot of questions. And I wanted to make the public aware that we are a united front with the Lebanon Community School Corporation on this. There has not been a child death due to a school fire in the last 50 years in North America. But we are losing students to school shootings. These fire alarms are being pulled and they're being weaponized. So we have partnered with the school. They've asked our opinion on this. We have developed a standard operating guideline of how we're going to react during an unplanned fire alarm. And we've come up with this agreement. I've shared it with you in an email. And we're also going to be doing a joint media release with the Lebanon Community School Corporation. I feel like it's very important that the public knows why we're doing this. We're not changing it just because we want to, but we've looked at studies and we have come up with this is the safest thing for our students, to keep them in a controlled environment during an unplanned drill. And I won't go through each part of it, but it'll be in the media release and you have the information in front of you of the procedures in place. It's a very common sense approach. Obviously, if you see fire, smell smoke, we're going to evacuate the building if it's unplanned. But if you do not, we're going to hold for up to 3 minutes until the SROs and fire personnel can get in the building and make a determination. So I'd like to field any questions you may have about that or the public, and we can also set this up at a later time as well.
Any questions for Chief Batts from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Next up, Parks Department, John Messenger.
Reverend, welcome. You got a great community you're coming to, and God bless you and the work you're doing. Yes. First off, Harold Folden is retired. He came to us about 2.5 years ago from retiring from the utilities. He cut down about 200+ trees in that short time that he was with us. He did a great job, and that was his happy place. So wanted to wish him the best of luck. Just hired a gentleman today, this morning, his first day, Joel McMasters. He grew up with my son. He's about 28 years old, lives in town, has a nice little family. His wife works at REMC. Just welcome aboard Joel. He's going to be a great asset to the parks. Really looking forward to having him work with us. Our July swim lessons wrapped up on the 24th. We had another great season with over 30 children. There again, that was morning and evening lessons. We also had a successful season, poolside Pilates at the YMCA, or with the YMCA, and our co-ed softball league finished up on August 4th. The community band played their final concert last night, and our last Friday was our final hot dog day of town. So everybody, if you didn't get it, you got to wait till next year. That was a great success, and they did a super job. Kept a couple kids busy all summer, so that was really nice too. Seashore Water Park is now only open on Saturdays and Sundays through Labor Day. Our last day is Monday, September 2nd, which is Labor Day, with the hours on that day being 11 to 6. The rest of them are regular weekend hours. I want to thank all the summer help that we had out there. A lot of college kids going back to school. Going to miss them. I think we had 17 that have checked out already. Going to miss them. Quite a few of them had 5 or more years, and I don't think a lot of them will be back. They're going on to bigger and better things, but sure do appreciate the job they did. The splash pad, however, will remain open 7 days a week. The hours are 10 to 8 o'clock, so until the weather breaks, we'll keep those people happy in the wet water down there at the splash pad. It's a big success also. Always packed down there. Now football season, those football players are loving it. So anyway, getting back to it, what was it, 2 weekends ago, we started off youth football down at Abner Longley with our jamboree, and then we had our black and gold game last Friday there. There again, field's in great shape, and they're doing a nice job. Parks Department's doing a great job maintaining that. Back to School Bash was on August 3rd, put on by Freedom Church and several of the church organizations and non-for-profits. It was a huge success. They provided several free services such as free backpacks, haircuts, clothes, health screenings, food, and admission to Seashore Water Park. They've already booked our park for next year, and we're looking forward to that. It was a great success. All the volunteers, I've never seen so many volunteers and people came out until this last weekend where we had the Battle of the Barbecue. There again, Joy Kaler and Kathy Flannery do an outstanding job with the many, many volunteers, people smoking stuff all day out there. Meat, that is.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, let me clarify, meat. No, the pork and all that. And I think we all knew where I was going with that. Anyway, there are many volunteers, and the Cancer Society raised $52,000 is what I hear. So outstanding job to the many, many volunteers. Saw a lot of people out there. Even one of the judges is running the camera right now, and he's still smiling, I think, from all the great food he got to judge. Our mother-son event is this Saturday, the 17th, from 5 to 8, with Batman and Superman will be present at that. They'll be making a special appearance. There will be 2 character artists and a balloon maker. Hot dog cart will be there. It's coming out of retirement, I guess. Games and crafts. We're hoping for another great turnout and good weather. Co-ed softball and volleyball tournament, or co-ed sand volleyball tournament held at the Samuel Thayer volleyball courts will be September 21st. Registration opens Monday, August 19th in the park's office. Also, Boys and Girls Club Soccer started today. Their practice starts today, and that's at Reese Park out on the north side. Also wanted to say a special thanks to Ron Ebert for his 45 years that he's helped out our baseball program. The gentleman's a class act by every means. I was pleased or blessed to work with him for 10 years, 11 years, I guess. Always left the field in better condition than what he got it. I can't say enough, and he also made a great donation that he really didn't want any credits for, but he did that, came in last Friday and wrote a real nice check to the Parks Department. And there again, his service and the many people that he helped out and the kids, just can't find a nicer, classier guy. So just want to say shout out to him. He did a great job, and that's all I had.
Okay, thank you, John. Any questions for John from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay.
Thank you.
Next up, Engineering Department, Kevin Krulik.
Good evening, board members. Let's start with some updates on downtown as usual. As many know, we're working our way west on Main Street. Lots of activity going on. We're really kind of near the home stretch here, and if you've been out in that area, it's maybe a little hard to get to, but it's really starting to take shape at this point. All the asphalt is down on Main Street. The base course of asphalt is down. All the curbs have been placed on top of that, with the exception of a few radii that have to be repoured or be poured here as that curb project wraps up. Water mains are all in, even on Patterson Street, with the exception of final testing and final tie-ins. The water main contaminated soil has been all mitigated at this point on Patterson as well. Storm sewer installation is also complete on Patterson. That completes all the storm sewer for the entire project. And back downtown, a few things happening there. The signal pole foundations at the intersection of State Road 32 and Meridian for the new traffic signals there, the new stoplights. Those have both been poured as of earlier this afternoon. And also keep in mind there's lots of sidewalk, and the trail is an ongoing project, has been for the last 2 weeks, and they'll be nearing completion of those sidewalk and trail projects probably, if not the end of this week, sometime next week. Work expected as we go into next week and beyond before we meet again. The storm sewer installation is complete, excuse me, it's a typo there. Light poles and foundations for light poles are going in as we speak. The sidewalk and the trail concrete should be wrapped up before we meet again. The path pavers also have started going down this week, and you'll see that wrapping up hopefully before our next meeting. Curbs along Patterson will go in. Patterson is not a full street reconstruction. We're just adding curbs to that and then resurfacing the street, so it's not as extensive of a reconstruction project as Main Street was. And we'll have a little bit more contaminated soil, most likely with the curb excavation, so whatever is contaminated there, we'll take care of mitigating that. All that is going to an approved waste handler facility, that a proper landfill that can dispose of those chemicals. Work still expected as we move forward. Just to give you an update on what the look ahead is like. Milling for the asphalt work is scheduled to mobilize mid-August. Asphalt paving is scheduled to mobilize the end of August. Around mid-August, we'll also be repaving the Boys and Girls Club parking lot across the street on the north side of Main Street, just west of the Cragen House. This is all gearing towards our completion date of September 28th, which is obviously just around the corner. Still waiting on NDOT permitting to do the work along State Road 39, so as soon as we have those permits in place, we will be jumping over there. I am getting a little nervous. The permits have taken so long. At this point, we're sort of nearing, I know it's hard to believe, we're just in August, but we're nearing the end of the construction season and what we can get on people's schedules before we are worried about winter weather approaching. So we're still pushing. We're hoping to get that work on State Road 39 done this year, but if the state doesn't release those permits really in the next couple weeks, I think it's going to be difficult to get on contractor schedules. Those schedules have really been booked up, and it's tough to throw in a project that large at this late in the season. But we're going to keep trying. As I said, we're going to keep pushing NDOT for those approvals, and if there's any window to be had to make that happen, we're going to make every effort to make it happen. As always, look for weekly updates, contractor emails if you're on that distribution list. Visit the Heart of Lebanon page. I can't thank them enough for their daily updates that they do out there. And just ask you to continue to support your downtown merchants. East Street, one minor update there. We've got a retainage release on the docket for later tonight. This is just the last thing that we need to do to release the final retainage that the bank is currently holding to the contractor and close out that project. A little bit of an update on the northern interchange projects. The U.S. Department of Transportation Infrastructure for Rebuilding America, infra grants. We did find out since the last meeting that we did not win that grant application. We were shortlisted, but we did not make it to the final selection process. But do not fear, we have submitted for the build grant, or as the Federal Department of Transportation refers to it as building or better utilizing investments to leverage development. So that grant program, we have submitted for that, and we expect to hear an announcement sometime early next year. No further updates beyond that. Pavement resurfacing projects, we're beginning to do those. You may have seen a lot of our ADA ramps associated with the resurfacing projects getting done around the city. Most of them are really centered on right behind us here on Meridian Street. Because a lot of the other streets that we're planning to resurface have already had the ramps updated. The Active Living Program has done a lot of work over the last few years on upgrading those ADA ramps, so the other streets really didn't have a lot of ramps that needed to be brought up to code. But we've completed all the ADA ramps associated with this year's contract resurfacing projects. And I just heard from the asphalt contractor earlier today that he does not expect to be on site for milling and resurfacing until after Labor Day. Busy year for him, and he's just booked up until the end of the month. With that being said, then we have also submitted our remaining projects from this year, as well as looking at a host of additional projects for community crossing grant applications. This is the 2019 second cycle. We submitted 3 applications that were due last week, and that totals about $2 million in total repaving. Again, remind you that that is a 50-50 match program, so that's $1 million commitment from the city. Right now, we have $600,000 roughly in next year's budget that we're allocating towards that program, as well as $200,000 that is unallocated or unspent from the 2019 budget in the, this is through the motor vehicle highway budget of the street department, as well as then that leaves us for 2020 with about a $200,000 shortfall that we're looking to community development, community capital improvement funds that could be used for that, or other additional appropriations. Lots of ways for us to skin that, but let's not put that forward of the grant award process. So those projects, we've maxed out the max we can put in for, which is $2 million, and we expect to hear on those projects sometime in October. Keep in mind that we can't bid the projects until after they announce the grant awards. Contracts are then don't have to be executed till April 15th of next year, and then projects aren't required to be completed for 18 months. So even if the $200,000 shortfall that I mentioned is a problem in 2020, we still wouldn't have to complete those projects till 2021. So a lot of time, a lot of options there we can come up with for funding. The projects that we submitted go right in line with our pavement asset management plan that's already been adopted by this board and by the city. I won't list you all of the projects. I will say there were 23 different street segments that were submitted, and again, totaling $2 million. Sidewalk programs, again, continue to move forward. Since we've last met, the Grant Street curbs have been completed. There's only really one outstanding sidewalk project that we're working on, and that is the Meridian Street sidewalks from Main Street to 32. And we're working with our contractors on the downtown project to change order that into that project. So to complete that with downtown contingency monies left over from the bond applications. Right-of-way acquisition projects also are moving forward on Lafayette Avenue, Witt Road, and Riley Road for additional sidewalk projects that, if possible, will get in this fall, but we'll have to see how that right-of-way acquisition process works out. Big Four Trail, not a lot of updates here. I'll leave that for Derek Warren, who will be speaking to council later tonight to present our Next Level Trails grant program application and what our proposal is for that program. Indianapolis Avenue Phase 2. Obviously, lots going on down there as well. I haven't given a whole lot of updates at these meetings, so I will remind everyone phasing. Phase 1, which was from Spencer Avenue south to Noble Street. Phase 2 is the southbound lanes from Hendricks to Noble Street. And then Phase 3 is the northbound lanes from Hendricks to Noble. Keep in mind, we had some delays earlier in the year due to weather, but primarily due to utility relocations. Those, for the most part, have been cleared up at this point. We are moving forward. Many people know by now that we have opened Phase 1 to traffic. And since we've last met, those curbs have been complete. We opened it on 8/5, and we've put the maintenance of traffic plan in place for Phase 2, which is the one-way traffic to the north from Hendricks to Noble Street. We've been working over the past 2 weeks on drives and sidewalks in that area, and some of that has been under traffic, of course, since the last week since we opened that. Also, conduits and light pole bases have been ongoing as well. Work expected to be completed before we meet again. Storm sewer materials have been delivered, and the installation for Phase 2 will start tomorrow. It's a large storm sewer project. It's about a 25-day duration, so that's going to take the better part of August and well into September before we get done with storm sewer. Sidewalks and ramps are expected to be completed in Phase 1 next week, and we'll continue moving along on that project. I do want to remind everyone that it is one-way only north of Hendricks Drive, north of the roundabout leading towards Stokes School. There is a partial segment north of Noble Street that is open to two-way traffic, but because of the shifts that we have to do and keeping everything safe there, essentially you can drive south on Indianapolis Avenue to Walnut Street, and then you really have to turn right onto Walnut Street, and you're not allowed to go around those barricades. We've supplemented a lot of one-way or wrong-way signage out there to make sure people see that, but I will say it's a daily occurrence where people are trying to go the wrong way down that what is effectively a one-way street right now. So appreciate everyone's patience there as we continue to work forward and work through those issues. I thank the police department for their efforts on helping to police that, especially with the kids going back to school this morning. A lot of additional patrol out there trying to keep people safe.
Kevin, can I
yes.
ask, what's the date that you're shooting for again, that will be finished and open? Is it November?
Well, good question. It was November. Originally, the contract requirements were complete, substantially complete by November 15th. But we had 6 weeks of delay for utilities and a few other delays for days of delay for weather. So right now, the current contract completion date is January 10th. Keep in mind, this is an NDOT project. This is a federal aid project. Because of that, they hold the contract with the contractors, and that contract actually does say that the state will not charge any delays after December 1st. So come December 1st, as soon as we get bad weather, most likely the contractor will shut the job down, and you will not see really any activity other than maintaining the traffic control devices through the winter until you get to April is when they're contractually obligated to start again. So I don't have any illusions that we're going to complete that project on January 10th. That's just very unrealistic. I mean, it would be great if it happens, but it's real unrealistic that we will be able to. So I would anticipate it wrapping up next spring. Now, the contractor is committed to trying to get as much open as possible. And, obviously we're working on pushing off final surfacing, pushing off landscaping, pushing off some sidewalk work until the spring so that hopefully before winter gets here, we can fully open it to two-way traffic, at least on temporary pavement.
Thank you.
I should also note, I believe we are on schedule, we are on schedule to open Noble Street by the end of this week. So you'll be able to drive through on Noble Street by the end of this week. If everything goes to plan, assuming we don't get some major storm work tonight that does any damage to the project, but in general, we're on schedule to pour the entrance ramps into the True Finds, True Find Treasures site, as well as finish up the asphalt patching, allow that to cure and be ready to open that by Friday night. So that's the plan, of course. Again, look for updates on the City of Lebanon Facebook page, the Engineering Department Facebook page. Look for the hashtag on the Ave. We thank everyone for their patience as we move forward with that. Grant Street, just one minor update. We're meeting with the Boone County officials this week to discuss the work on William Street and combining that with their bridge project that is ongoing and scheduled for next year after school gets out. No other real updates there. Gateway Marketplace, curbs are in. Asphalt should be wrapping up this week. Sidewalks are also going down. Ramps will be next. And we're moving forward with getting that ready to open Ping Drive and Gateway and the Gateway Marketplace project for traffic. We're already have multiple projects ready to start pulling building permits on that, as we've talked about before. I think that's everything.
Kevin, on the Ping Drive, I know there was talk about the state putting in a light there and changing the median. Is that in the state's court? What's happening with that?
It is in the state's court, but what the state finally ended up permitting for that developer is a new stoplight. So there'll be a new stoplight at the intersection with Ping Drive and State Road 32. You will now then, once that stoplight and the construction is complete, you'll be able to drive south of 32 on Ping Drive. You'll go through a large series of S-curves that will put the Ping Drive traffic onto Ransdell Road. Northbound Ransdell Road traffic will also be diverted onto this new Ping Drive access route. The area of Ransdell Road north of that will become a small dead-end street that just is used for accessing those businesses, and it'll be right in, right out only onto Ransdell Road.
So will the light go in before the road opens, or will it be when the road opens?
No, thank you. I'm sorry, I probably got sidetracked there. But yes, the light is not scheduled to go in until sometime in September, but I don't think anyone has a definitive date on that yet.
Okay.
But the hope is that NDOT will allow us to open it to traffic. It'll just be a stop condition until the stoplight goes in.
Okay. Any other questions for Kevin from the board? Any questions for the public? Okay, thanks, sir. Next up is Planning Department, Ben Bontrager.
Good evening, board members. Planning Department continues a busy summer. In the last few weeks, we did an additional 67 building inspections, so we're still averaging a little over 20 inspections a week, which is a pretty busy schedule. We issued an additional 35 permits in the last few weeks, a couple of new homes in that mix, and I know we just issued 3 of them today, and we just got 5 of them submitted, so we could have another 8 of them before the end of the week that are sent out and started in construction. On the code enforcement side, continue to see our summer issues like trash and debris, grass and weeds is still there, and then we're still hitting the parking, the cars, et cetera, hard. Then had a number of other of your typical code enforcement issues that have come up throughout the summer. In terms of our comprehensive plan, we are a little bit delayed at this point. We were intending to have a presentation to Planning Commission this month, but it has been pushed off till next month. We're finishing up some of the content for the website and want to make sure we have everything out on the website appropriately before we have that presentation. So right now we are intending to have a presentation with the Planning Commission in September, and then likely their recommendation in October. So before the end of the year, we'll have that all adopted. On the development side, a lot of things that are getting ready to come down the pipe. Section 1 of Sunbrook, which is the single-family neighborhood for Ryan Homes, is under construction. They're starting to move dirt. They will continue to do that throughout the winter with the expectation they're going to start construction on homes next spring. Section 1 of Sunbrook Villas, which is also Ryan Homes, but it's a single-family product that's a no-maintenance product, where all the yard maintenance is done by the homeowners association. They just submitted the construction plans for that first section to our office recently, and we're completing review there. Again, I think their expectation is to begin the earthwork on that neighborhood this winter, again, with homes starting construction in 2020. We are also completing a review of the construction plans for Section 3 of Auburn Meadows. So they're looking, again, have that Section 3 of Auburn Meadows. They've done very well in Section 2. They'll have homes or home sites available starting next year as well. On the commercial side, Lebanon Gateway Marketplace, Kevin gave an update on the infrastructure. We do have 2 projects that have gone through all their planning review. We expect them to pull their building permits in the next month, and so we should see some vertical products starting within the next month. And that would be Burger King, and then the lot next to them is a small multi-tenant building that's anchored by the Moe's Southwest Grill. We'll see both of those projects starting to go vertical within the next month. One final project that'll actually be on the Redevelopment Commission agenda tonight to begin some approvals for city support is The Shift, which is a downtown project. This is a real exciting project that'll actually be on the west side of the road, the Estes parking lot where they used to store all their cars on the west side of Lebanon Street. They're going to build an approximately 50,000 square foot building, 4-story building that'll have both retail space, restaurant space on the first floor, and then 3 floors of residential above. It represents about an $8.5 million investment on the developers' part, and at the Redevelopment Commission tonight, they're going to be approving some of the first agreements that are necessary to get that thing going. So we're hoping to get all that done so they can start doing the design work yet this fall. We can start seeing some activity in 2020 on that project. So that's a real exciting project to see coming forward for our community. One other quick note on the personnel front, we have had a staff member leave for a new opportunity. Some of you have met Lauren Gillingham. She was our assistant planner / code enforcement person. She took a new job elsewhere. It was some new opportunities for her, so we wish her well. We have not yet advertised that position, but we will in the very near future be looking for somebody to refill that position. So that would be someone that the primary focus is on code enforcement, but will also be helping with some of the additional planning stuff like Board of Zoning Appeals and Planning Commission that I work on. So that'll be something that we'll be advertising shortly. And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Any questions for Ben from the board? Any questions for the public? Okay, thank you, sir. Next up is Street and Stormwater Department, Dave Newell.
How's it going? We've been out We've been out patching potholes. 2 words to try to put together there. Brush trucks out and busy as well. On that note, though, Green Cycle has opened it back up to where they'll take brush for free from a residence. So hopefully that eases some burden off us. They were charging, but now they'll take it for free. Storm water crew's been very busy. They finished up a big job over there by Patterson Street, so that came out real nice. Got that seeded and everything, so hopefully that takes off. We've have had the street sweeper out. It's been very busy. It was out today as well, and we just always start at one end, make it to the other, and start over. So we got some scheduled sweeping we're going to do over here on East Street, so we'll get that going as well. We put out some barricades for the Battle of the Barbecue and for the block party at the Nazarene Church. And on that note, we kind of forgot the Nazarene one. Luckily they called us Saturday, but when you guys approve a road closure, if you could just have them call us. We write it down, but if they'll call us like the day before or whatever, it helps remind us because sometimes they're so far out.
We can do that, yep.
But it just helps us a little bit. We got it handled, but it does help. We have received 120 calls since our last Board of Works meeting. One of those was for curb and concrete. 2 of those were not street related. 4 for potholes, 20 for trash and recycling. 40 of those were for brush. 20 of those were walk-ins, 25 were random questions. Not sure what that means, but I wrote it down. 2 of those were reimbursements. It was somebody that called in that's run over some stop signs, and then they paid the city back so we could replace those signs. And 1 was for grass clippings, 3 of them were for Lafayette Avenue, and 2 of them were for leaves, and that's all we had.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave? Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Communications Community Development, Joe LePage.
Evening, everyone. Forgive me, I have a couple props, so I'm going to plug in here. You're right, Matt, this was a long cord. As we get ready to play the video, the next video in the Lebanon Legends series featuring Reed Schaller, just wanted to talk a bit about a couple other things going on within the department that I represent, Community Development. First off, we have finalized our design with Claire Houghton, a local artist, and she's working on one of our tigers, the tiger statue that will go downstairs in the municipal building. She has begun work on that design, and then she's even wanting to potentially work on that at the Lebanon City Market, which is Tuesdays 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. We do art in August, and so she's wanting to have maybe one of the tigers downtown and be painting it while folks are there and be able to observe her doing that. So that'd be very cool. A couple of other departments have had their designs already approved, and so they'll be rolling those out as well, looking very cool. With the start of school, each school, Lebanon School Corporation, has a tiger, and so they'll begin the process then, kind of a ripple effect approach of rolling out their particular tigers within their art classes and having their students do the work. And so just to recap, there'll be tigers that each have a name, distinct name. We're working with the local folks that are working on the concrete bases, Gilman Home Care, and Home Improvement Lumber. And they're working on the concrete bases, and so we'll be putting on the tigers on those bases and being able to put those in their respective locations. And we've had some social organizations reaching out as well, still working out the language on being able to do that, but that'll work out for us. The Lebanon store, we're rolling out new designs. The design number 2 coming up on Wednesday. Some quality of life enhancement happening along with supporting of local nonprofits. And so working with Hammock Brothers Designs, a local organization here, and being able to have them put together some really cool designs and some pride that'll be coming from a lot of Lebanon folks. And speaking of the Lebanon store, we're going to be adding some of our banners, and you may have seen some of the banners around downtown, and so some of the folks have wanted to be able to purchase some of those, and we're actually going to be selling them. So if you saw something like this, if you might be related to the young lady who's having some fun down the slide, you will be able to soon go to the Lebanon store website and be able to purchase that banner. The price will be $40, and here's the fun part. The $40 goes directly to the nonprofit you choose. And so if you're familiar with the Lebanon store, if you buy a shirt, half the money, or $10 rather, goes to a nonprofit that you choose. And so with these banners, it's a $40 purchase for the banners themselves, but all $40 goes to a nonprofit. And so you can physically say Boys and Girls Club. And so the city is just taking the money and giving it right to the nonprofit. You get a banner, and it's a quality of life driver, we feel. And so a number of banners that we'll be putting up on the website that we can ship to your house. And so they feature a lot of Lebanon folks. And so I want to be able to roll that out for the people of Lebanon and being able to, again, share some pride with our neighbors as well. Before I play the Reed Schaller video, I want to kind of give you a heads up on an event that is coming up in October. We're working on the title still, but it's basically a community meal underneath the catenary lights on Meridian Street. And so we have booked a jazz band, a jazz trio out of Chicago, quartet this time because they're bringing a vocalist with them. We'll have a white tablecloth. It'll be a 3-course meal. This will be a pretty fancy deal. It'll be downtown under the catenary lights in the evening. And so again, the title is still a work in progress, the logo as well, but be a really fun event, going to be an evening under the stars and being able to enjoy the new downtown as well. And so stay tuned for a date. We have booked the band, but more details to come on that. But anyway, I'm going to hit play on this video here. This is a Lebanon legend, Reed Schaller, recent Lebanon graduate, went through some hard times with injury, can really throw the baseball really, really hard. Got drafted by the Washington Nationals. Here's his story. He is now a Lebanon legend from Lebanon High School to the Major League Baseball ranks.
Redshirt freshman, Lebanon, Indiana, his hometown.
Cranked it up to 95. Expect some high-octane gasolina, folks. This young man can run it up there. Schaller puts on a clinic throwing gas. 95 up and out. There's no chance that Alexander can catch up.
Nice 8th inning from Reed Schaller in his first appearance as a Commodore.
Washington selects Reed Schaller, a right-handed pitcher from Vanderbilt.
I've been talking to my dad, like, anything gonna happen today? Says possibly, so I'm like, okay. So just in case, like, I gave my phone to my strength coach at Vandy, and we're working out, and he's feeling like vibrations. He's like, I think you just got drafted. I'm like, really? Wow. So I just take a glance at it, and I see like thank you texts, and I put it up, and I finished my workout. Didn't know who I got drafted by yet. And so just a lot of emotion during that workout. It was a great time. And after the workout, I went down, and the position players were about to go lift after us, and everyone was like congratulating me and stuff, and it was great. I actually played over at Dover when that was still a thing. Then we moved to Thorntown, played Little League over in Thorntown, and then my 4th grade family transitioned over in Lebanon. And I was young, didn't really want to move, had to make new friends, but it was exciting. Met a lot of new friends, and played Little League here, and I've been a part of the baseball community here for a while. I played football, basketball up until my freshman year of high school, and after my baseball season here, I'm like, okay, playing some varsity, like, feeling pretty decent. And so I'm like, I don't know if I want to like risk playing football, getting hurt. And I was 165 pounds as a freshman. I would have just lost weight if I played basketball with all the running. So I'm like, I need to gain some weight and muscle and try and see where this baseball thing ends up. I was so excited for my senior year. Playing with Caleb, Bryce, Jackson, and all those guys were as seniors. And then I got the news that I'd have to have surgery on my knee for meniscus surgery. It was a fine group of guys playing, and we did fine, but it sucked watching from the sidelines. Before that, in junior year, I started having elbow problems, and I went to a doctor. It was tendonitis, just take a couple weeks off and throw. So I did that throughout the summer and into the fall, and I couldn't go more than 1 to 2 innings without it getting tight. So something's wrong. I know a lot of guys that I know have had Tommy John. Some of them are still having problems, and I don't know if it's the rehab that they've done or the doctor that they went to, but I'm thankful I went to Vandy, and their staff there able to help me work through this. They did a great job maintaining a watch over me and making sure I was doing the right stuff, and so it was good. Tattoo is just a dead-head surgery, just to remind me, what I've been through and the journey, and the journey to where I've gotten. Mom hated the thought of me getting a tattoo, but she likes it now. It has meaning to my life, and so 1 Corinthians 16:13. Be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong.
Makes quick work of Andrew Blatt, 1 out. And another 96.
It felt good out there on the mound, just nicknames getting thrown out there. And
98.
Fire God was a nickname that people tweeted about at Vandy. And now Flamethrower for my Auburn team. I don't know, it's kind of funny hearing these nicknames, but it feels good to be able to throw again after surgery. I love this community. I love this town. It's small, so you get to know a lot of people. Nothing travels too far here, so you got to be smart about what you do. And I think my mom's preached that to me so many times, and I think that's what has kept me from straying around and following the bad group, And so I just love this town. The school system here is so good. They do a great job of just their middle school and high school and doing that, and I love this town.
Vandy is 3 outs away from a victory on a Saturday night.
It's pretty great. If someone asks you, like, what do you do for a living? I play baseball. You know, it's my job. But it's great. I mean, it's always been a dream and a goal. And that moment when I got those texts, it was like, it's happened. On to the next goal now. So I'm just glad I went to school, because when I went to school, I learned how to like manage my time and manage time with school and baseball and stuff like that. So I think going to school matured me as a person. I'm just glad I didn't go out of high school, because I wouldn't have been able to experience school, you know, and gotten that experience. I'm glad I did. And yeah, I have no need to buy 3 cars. Like, that's not like who I am. I'm gonna put the money away, invest it, and just get a financial advisor and be smart about it. Set goals. If you set goals and you work hard to achieve those goals, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I set goals when I was in high school, wrote them up, and looked at them every day. It's just seeing goals that you set, and when you accomplish them, it's an amazing feeling.
Which do you guys prefer, fire god or flamethrower? And now his goal was to pitch in the major leagues, or to get drafted rather. Now it is to play for the Washington Nationals proper, and so he's on his way. Craig Terrell is up next. We're getting ready for football season. Then Drew Powell after that. Lebanon Legends. Just be a little.
As a Purdue guy, I'm looking forward to the Craig Terrell one, so appreciate that. Okay. Any questions for Joe from the board?
No.
Any
Love
questions?
the videos, Joe.
good.
I think they're great, of all of our kids.
All right. Thank you, sir. That concludes department head reports, so we'll move on to old business. First item I have here is the Memorial Park restroom project. So essentially, this is just a notice to proceed contingent upon financial approval.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if we really need this, but just to cover all bases so we don't have to come back. You've already issued a notice of award, a contingent notice of award, or conditional notice of award, contingent on city council funding. Well, that funding appropriation hearing is up for action later tonight at the city council meeting. So assuming that goes forward, I wasn't for sure if we needed to come back to Board of Works and ask for permission to issue a notice to proceed on that. So again, this may be belt and suspenders, but I figured why not go ahead and just take that action so that assuming the funding goes forward at council tonight, then we're all set, and immediately after the funding is approved, we can go ahead and issue a notice to proceed to the contractor. So that's all I'm asking for is a motion to allow us to issue a notice to proceed on the park restroom projects, subject to city council funding, as well as legal review and approval, and authorize the mayor to execute that notice.
Any concerns or questions from the board concerning that? This time would entertain a motion to issue notice to proceed contingent upon final financial approval from council and subject to final legal review, and authorizing myself to sign on your behalf concerning the park restrooms project, Memorial Park restroom project.
I'll make a motion that we approve the notice to proceed for the Memorial Park building projects, subject to the funding approval by the council.
And legal, and then authorize.
And legal, and authorize the mayor to authorize the work to be done.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we'll get that project moving as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Next up, that concludes what I have for old business. Anything from the board? Okay, new business then. First is the downtown street closure request and alcohol service on a public right-of-way request for the Heart of Lebanon concerning the Oktoberfest and Spokes of Hope event. Joe, is there anybody from Heart of Lebanon here tonight? Okay, looks like.
I'm actually not here on behalf of the Heart of Lebanon. I'm speaking for the Spokes of Hope event.
Okay.
If that helps. Spokes of Hope is a cancer awareness bike ride, and they had been in Zionsville for a couple of years and went downtown in Lebanon and saw the historic courthouse square. Excuse me, and wanted to be a part of downtown. And so 2 years ago, they brought 150 or so riders from all over, much of them from Hamilton County, coming to Lebanon and riding 100 miles in a day through Boone County. And so starting in downtown Lebanon, riding around throughout the county and coming back. It's a great event. Even if, I mean, most of us know someone who is a cancer survivor, who's had battled cancer. It's just amazing to see the awareness they bring for just cancer awareness and being able to beat that terrible affliction. But they bring a whole big entourage with them, and they like setting up they start rolling out on Friday evening, very, very late Friday evening. We're talking, midnight, 1 a.m. Saturday morning. And so we'd like to request on Friday night, let's say 8 or 9 p.m., that we would close off the section of Washington Street from Meridian Street to East. That's the only section that they've ever requested off. And also, in speaking with a couple of business owners in the area, having some cones or other demarcation that we could put some parking spaces near Norman and Sampson Leather, because and also St. Adrian's, because those are the three places that are primarily open on Saturday, and all the parking spaces in that area will be taken up downtown otherwise. And so again, if we can set up the barriers, and Assistant Chief Bailey and I were the ones that did a couple of years ago before the construction last year, obviously. And so having that set up and being able to do that would be great for that event this year.
Okay. Any other questions for Joe? So 9 p.m. on Washington.
Yes, the 16th,
Washington
Friday
Street.
the 16th, Washington Street from Meridian to East. They'll set up, that's where they kind of stage. They have an inflatable kind of archway that they go through, and they'll drag that a little bit to the west. But that's where the riders will take off. They'll ring the bell. Those cancer survivors will ring the bell. They'll take off, and they'll move everything and wrap it up in one big bow. And they're usually done by about 2 p.m.
Okay. Any questions or concerns for that from the board?
So what's the dates again?
So it's Friday, August 16th.
This Friday?
It's because they set up at the evening, and then they kind of leave first thing on Saturday.
Yeah.
So they'll wrap it by, I would say they'll have everything cleaned up and out of there by about 4 p.m. on Saturday, the 17th.
Does the street to be closed the whole time, though, on Saturday as well?
Yeah, it's probably a good idea that they have a lot of folks that get back and park, and they'll have some things set up along there. Their whole, they keep time, and so they'll
Okay.
have all the bib stuff and all that equipment there that would need to be in the roadway until they wrap up the race.
Okay, so essentially from 9 p.m. on the 16th to 4 p.m. on the 17th. Okay. And just for that one block there on Washington Street. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, we'll entertain a motion concerning that street closure.
I'll move that we approve the street closure, that one block area between Meridian and East on Washington Street from 9 p.m. on Friday, the 16th of August, to 4 p.m. on Saturday, August 17th.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. And then do we have anyone from the Heart of Lebanon, or we're just going to have to?
I can go over a couple of details. If
Yeah, that'd probably be helpful, Joe.
Sure. The Heart of Lebanon is rolling out another edition of the Oktoberfest event, the German-themed beer festival set in August instead of October. This year, the musical acts are the Route 161 Ramblers. They're a really fun, folksy German-themed band, and then also Big 80s will be playing as well. From what I understand, they're wanting to set up a stage, partnering with the CVB as last year as well, at the intersection, diagonally set up, facing the edge of the courthouse at Meridian and Main Street. And so if you're visualizing, and if I was making the pitch, I would have brought a map, but it's right there in the intersection where the stage will be set up for the band. And then down Main Street will be one leg of the Oktoberfest setup, and then down Meridian Street will be the other. And so they'd like to start setting the stage up. I do know that from the CVB around noon on Saturday for the 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. event. And so just that intersection starting off being closed, and then eventually as other things are set up, being able to gradually take more of the roadway and being able to close off eventually most of Meridian Street and most of Main as well to the west and to the north. They're on those sides of the courthouse square.
Okay. August 17th. So that's Saturday.
17th.
Okay, so any questions or concerns?
Date, what's the date of that?
August 17th, so this Saturday.
From what time, Joe? Till noon or what?
The new closure
Might
would
as
be
well close the
for-
whole square for the weekend.
That's what, yeah.
The new closure would be for the intersection only, while they set up the sound and stage. But then as other things, there'll be tables that'll be brought in, there'll be portalettes, there'll be some food vendors and alcohol vendors as well setting up. And so as that begins to happen, the trickle effect of the closure would take place.
So starting at noon.
At the intersection,
But
yeah.
then the remaining, I mean, that's the biggest lift, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, the other things don't start until later on in the day.
Do we, I mean, 3 o'clock till 11 work probably?
Yeah,
Okay.
3 to 11.
3 to 11?
Okay. Okay, would entertain a street closure request for the Oktoberfest event, starting at noon at the intersection of Main and Meridian, West Main, excuse me, no, yes. East Main?
It's right there on the line, so I don't think you're west or east, I think you're right down the middle.
The intersection of Main and Meridian on the courthouse square, how about that? At noon, and then a rolling closure, phase closure of Meridian and Main Street as the event progresses until 11 p.m. So you can just say so moving. It's kind of complicated. So
I'll make a motion, we approve the Oktoberfest street closure from noon to 10 p.m. in the locations of Main and Meridian Street. I won't go through all the details of how far to far.
okay, I think it was 11, but it's okay. That's
Okay.
fine. Yep. Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. And then finally, to be in accordance with our city ordinance, we do have to issue Board of Works approval so they can serve alcohol on a public right-of-way as well, which includes sidewalks and streets. So would entertain a motion to allow the Heart of Lebanon to serve alcohol on Saturday from, you said 5 to
5 to 10.
5 to 10 on, in that event space. And that's a 21 and over event completely as well. So it's, and they check IDs going in as well, so.
And you have to leave your alcohol as you leave, obviously.
Okay.
So it's all 21 event. Okay. I'll make a motion, we approve the alcohol service between 5 and 10 p.m. there on Saturday, the 17th.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that is approved. And that concludes those events. Thank you, Joe. And then last is the Kevin for the East Street escrow agreement release. You mentioned it earlier. Is there anything else you need to say about it?
There's really not. This is a procedural thing. I just need your permission to issue the final escrow release. As we pay invoices to the contractor, a portion of that money, 5% up to 50% of the total contract, goes into an escrow account at Huntington Bank. That's the contractor's money, but they won't give it to the contractor till we tell them to. And so I just need I need an action from the Board of Works to authorize me to issue that final escrow release.
Okay. Would entertain a motion to authorize the escrow agreement release on behalf of the city for the East Street project.
I make a motion, we approve the contract escrow release for the city.
Okay. Motion approved. Is there a second? Second. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that is approved. All right, sorry, a little bit of a long meeting tonight. Any other new business from the board? Okay, would move on to claims then. Would entertain a motion concerning the claims.
I make a motion, we approve the claims.
Second. Pay the claims and a second. That was Dick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Claims are approved. And would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. The redevelopment commission is up next.